Call this meeting to order, Bradley County Commission voting session, August 1st, 2022, 7 o'clock. The pledge tonight will be led by Commissioner Howard Thompson and our invocation by Commissioner Bill Winters.
Salute, pledge, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Shall we pray? Our Father, we come to you with thankful hearts tonight that we live in a country that you've given us, America, home of the free, where people come together like this to make decisions, ask their leaders to do the things that they ask them. We thank you that we change power not by threat and not by force, by the ballot box. We thank you, Lord, for that provision that you've made for us. We thank you for every man and woman that put their name on ballots so that they could lead. We thank you for them. We pray that your will be done in this election as you have already moved into prior. We pray that you lead us and guide us. May we realize that you have the ultimate call in our lives. We think we have that call, but ultimately you're our creator. We thank you, Lord. We can come together tonight. May the words of our mouth, meditations of our heart be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer.
Amen. Madam, would you call the roll?
Here.
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 Yes, here.
Here.
Here. Here.
Here.
Thank you, madam. Can I entertain a motion for approval of the minutes? Got a motion from Commissioner Goins, second from Commissioner Thompson. Any questions, discussion? Call the roll, please.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, madam. Now a report from our county mayor, Mayor Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good evening, everyone. Don't have anything to report other than we did close on the purchase of the annex parking lot this morning. But other than that, unless someone has a question for me, that's all I have.
We'll have a question of the mayor.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, sir. Can I entertain a motion for consent agenda? One for Commissioner Thompson, second by Commissioner Winters. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, madam. Now reports from committees and/or districts. We'll start to my right with Commissioner Eberson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Everything's doing great in the first district. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Hughes.
Mr. Chairman, I have nothing to report today.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Alford.
Second, doing well, a little wet, but we're doing well.
Very wet. Thank you, sir. Commissioner Peak.
I have nothing, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Cry.
Yes, two items. Committee district report. Bradley County Schools invites all the commissioners to the back-to-school invocation tomorrow at 8 a.m. at First Baptist Church. I have a constituent that I'd like to recognize and allow her to address an issue. Should be about 8 to 9 minutes long. Ms. Paul.
Come on up, Ms. Popple. Welcome.
Thank you. Okay. First of all, I just want to thank Tom for letting me speak for a few minutes tonight. And before I go any further, I need you guys to not ask any questions until the very end because I only have 8 to 9 minutes to get through this. So even though the annexation that's going to be voted on tonight is not in the second district, myself and the second district group that has been representing more than 400 people now are here to voice our concern about this annexation. I think it's important for you to understand and see the complaints that you may have heard and maybe some that you haven't. After reading a couple of these, we're going to dive into a different perspective on this issue. The first one I want to recognize is that this is not needed if the city would provide a waiver that they are allowed to provide. Number 4 on this list is talking about annexation of roads, leaving residents on those roads as county residents, essentially abandoning them from their representation. If they had any road issues that the city was not addressing, they don't have a city representative to help them. The last one on this list I want to recognize is road annexation is what led to the mess that Collegedale and Ottawa are having to deal with right now. Let's move on. In an effort to get a full picture of what this request was really like, I took the time to read the 33-page minutes meeting from the City Planning Commission. It was very eye-opening. First, there was 3 key projects on this meeting agenda, and all of them seem to have the same theme. So I'm going to very quickly highlight each one. The first one is the 23.4 acres on Freewell Road. The second one is a rezoning request for King Den Drive. And the third one is an annexation on Michigan Avenue. I'm going to show you the similarities between these on the next few slides, but I'm going to look at the last one first. On this project, I wanted to show you some quotes that were given at this meeting by city residents who came to oppose this annexation. Again, I'm not going to read each one of these, but I wanted to represent at least one of them so that you could see what they were saying. Janet Hudson says, "It was a perfect place to live. I've seen my neighbors disrupted by this, by putting this in. The school buses are trying to get out of the parking, out of the neighborhood, and it takes 10 minutes for them to do so. We are going to have more deaths on this road if something's not done." This complaint is something that we've heard ourselves at the county level. Then, something I didn't expect to read is a requirement that the city had a requirement for the developer to install a high-quality picnic pavilion. And it was very evident that the city wanted to make sure that these high-density housing developments had some amenities that would help with the quality of life. But what I was shocked to read is that the developer was not having it. After a lot of back and forth, the commission decided to omit this requirement from the announcement. This is what that property looks like. There will be 48 townhomes when it is completed. It's 7.6 acres. The next one is for King Den, which was a rezoning request. And again, the city council asked for a picnic pavilion to be added to the open green space for this development. I was shocked when the developer brushed off this request and said that the empty lot that they were giving the HOA was the amenity, and that they could figure out what to do with it once all the residents moved in. The commission asked a few questions about the HOA and developed at the developer and asked if this was required. But the developer claimed that all the properties would require a HOA. But after looking at the situation, this developer has other properties that do not have any legal documents that spell out the creation of an HOA. With that being said, the commission wasn't happy about this, but again, omitted the requirement. Here's the picture of what that property is going to look like. 22 townhomes and 28 single-family homes. Now we're going to talk about the one that you guys are going to vote on tonight. Again, the city council asked not just for a pavilion this time, but they asked for a high-quality playground to be built in between the townhomes and the single-family homes in this new development. Again, they got pushback and told the commission that the amenity that this development would have is the stream and the green space. So they're basically telling these residents in a high-density development that your kids should go play in a creek. The last requirement discussed at this meeting was that all single-family homes would have a two-car garage. There was a lot of back and forth, but the city actually stuck to their guns and kept this in as a requirement. So at least these families will be able to have a place to put their kids' bikes. Because of all of this, I'm sure you're asking why I wanted you to see the other developments. But you can see the correlation that the developer was pushing the city council to not provide things that the city council knew was needed. This is what that development looks like. There will be 40 single-family homes and 84 townhomes. That is an awful lot of space for those people, not an awful lot of space for those people to actually let their kids play. In conclusion, both the city and county residents are voicing their concern about the growth and how it's being handled. Roads are a problem. The city commission has made it clear that they wanted to provide quality of life for these density developments, but at the same time, we're being pushed around by at least this developer. And now we are standing here in this room with a request to annex other roads and property, or this roads and this property. This request was put on hold and conveniently added back to the vote by a developer. The last thing I want to point out is that it seems like there is a large swath of Bradley County residents that believe that any developer on the commission should be recusing themselves from all annexation requests. I know this because we took a poll on the second district page, and these are the results of that poll. 87% of people that voted on this said that it was necessary for them to recuse themselves altogether from these requests. So with this knowledge, I need to ask two very important questions of the developer on this committee. Is there any chance you or your business will directly or indirectly profit from this annexation? Are you currently developing any unplanned, undeveloped land in close proximity to this annexation? If the answer to either one of these questions is yes, I kindly ask you to recuse yourself. Thank you.
Anyone have any questions? Thank you, Ms. Popple. Anything else? Anything else?
Oh,
Commissioner?
that's it. Thank you.
Commissioner Peak?
I forgot, I did have, the Realtors Association here, and they'd like to briefly speak, just quickly.
Okay,
Max Phillips.
okay. Come on up, Mr. Phillips.
Ladies, gentlemen, thank you so much for taking a minute of my time, minute of your time to let me address this annexation request. First off, I'd like to thank President of the Realtors Association, and also Heath Davis, also the Realtors Association. I'm the chairman of the Government Affairs, Realtor Emeritus, and been born and raised in Bradley County my whole life. Been around real estate my whole life. Now, the only thing I'd like to say is realtors are far, and first off, we are about 600 strong, not counting the banks, not counting the lenders, and as far as voting. Next, we are for private property rights. With that means that we feel that a person, if they meet the criteria, they should all be able to do whatever they want to for property. Next, this development is high density. It is needed, and it's also local. The developers are going to spend their money here. They're going to buy the lumber here. They're going to buy the supplies here, and they're going to spend tax dollars here. Not to even count as far as what we take the property from turning it from a 21-acre tract into a large-scale development, as they talk about. We are for affordable housing, and it's hard to have affordable housing unless you have high density. The reason that we need this is very simple. As of today, there in Bradley County total, there are 221 residential listings. 221 is all. And now we are closing 135 a month. So that means we have a 49-day supply of homes. That's not very many. Next, I'd like to state that, our business is crazy because the cat's out of the bag. People are moving here from all walks of life. Where are we going to put them? We can't put them in an apartment. Then the kids won't have anywhere to play. We can't just let them move somewhere else. So we need a place to put them. We are 5th in the nation, as stated, as far as a place to live, work, play, raise a family, and buy a home. The cat's out of the bag. So what are we supposed to do without developments of this nature? That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips. Thank you. Commissioner Thompson?
Yes, sir. I'm 100% for development, but I hate annexation. And there's one thing that I want to do tonight. I'd like to get a resolution drawn up. I know we passed a growth plan. And that growth plan, I think, took 8 votes to pass it. And I won't take 8 votes and take it away. I don't know how legal we are with that attorney, but that's what I want to do. And I'm going to request that we have a resolution to take away the growth plan. Like I say, I have nothing at all against development, but I do against annexation. Because when you annex, it goes to the city. And they got their hands out for everything, and they don't need any more money. We need money here in Bradley County. I know they're part of the county, but they're a city of Cleveland too. But I'm just tired of them annexing every chance they get, and we sit up here and pass it.
Commissioner Thompson, or that resolution, are you wanting to, you're not wanting to do that tonight, are you?
No, I want it.
You're wanting to get a resolution developed. to do it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, they say 8 votes, we move the courthouse. Let's try it. Okay,
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Anything else?
that's all.
All right. Commissioner Goins?
Fifth District's doing well, putting some new sidewalk down Wildwood. So it's been there for about 75 years. That's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Slater?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The ad hoc committee appointed to study population trends relative to education will meet on Wednesday, August 24th at 10:30 here in the commission room. And also at this time, I'd like to recognize Ben Berry.
Come on up, Ben.
That's the topic of the day. I'm here to speak about the annexation. Benjamin Berry with Berry Engineers. Growth is hard. It's easy to demonize growth. It's not popular. But let me describe what growth looks like. I'll use my own office as an example. We've got 3 young men that graduated college. All 3 grew up in Bradley County, went to Walker Valley High School, moved away, went to college, got a degree, and wanted to come back, live close to their parents. All 3 were looking to buy a home. One bought near Deer Park, one bought off of out Mouse Creek Road, Another one is towards the Free Will Road area in the, that's growth. We have a young lady in our office that served in the military for 16 years, served in Afghanistan, retired from the military, moved here to raise their kids, bought a house off of Old Tasso Road. I'm glad that she's here. I'm proud to have her. That's growth. You know, there was a time when I was growth, 2004, when I built my first house, duplex, Old Chattanooga Pike. There was a time when each of you were growth. That's what growth looks like. And I think it's important to put that in perspective, because my kids are young. If they want to live here, I want them to. I want them to be able to have a place. That's growth. So, you know, but really this decision that you have before you is not about growth. It's not about annexation. It's simply about, you're simply agreeing to a plan of service. Who's going to provide the service? That's what's on your agenda. That's the only thing that you're deciding. And the decision is an easy one, because the city has already agreed to be responsible for all of the services. The decision is easy if you recognize that there is a shortage of housing, and that shortage is driving up prices and making housing more unaffordable for people like the people that work in my office. The decision is easy if you are a supporter of property rights. This commission has already said that that if you are in a certain area, you can ask to be annexed into the city. This property owner has asked if they want to be in the city. Their decision does not affect any of their neighbors. Their neighbors can choose to stay in the county. There's no forced annexation. Nobody's forcing anything on anybody else. This is private property rights. This decision is easy if you feel that the city should be responsible for all the services and all the upkeep. That's exactly what they proposed to you. And finally, this decision is easy if you support low taxes. The last budget included raises for all county employees. It was said that these raises were funded by growth, and this is growth. So anyway, I ask that when you vote on the annexation, I ask that you support it, support the decisions that have been made, support the growth, and move forward without delay. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Berry. Anything else, Commissioner Blair? All right. Commissioner Mason?
Thank you, Chairman Mull. Everything's well in the 6th District. I would like to thank this commission, Lori Moultrie, and the mayor for, Ocoee Utilities for looking at Sugar Creek Road. Those folks, several wells went dry, and I just want to thank everyone that was involved with that to help me try to get some water out there to those fine folks. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Davis?
All is well in the 6th. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Winters?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. 7th District school begins this coming week, and the 7th District has one of our schools, and in the 7th District, it has 60 highway going right in front of it with construction. And I would please request that those traveling through there realize that school is going to begin next week for students. It's already begun for faculty and staff. And there's signs to say slow down, but we need to slow down. Cleveland Middle School particularly, that's right in my neighborhood. There'll be egress and entrance. It's different in that area, but school will be starting. It's hard to believe that we're already here. When we did the consent agenda, there was a placement for a new member of our Bradley County Rehabilitation Center. We have a lady that served there 23 years, Sandra Snyder. Sandra Snyder was a member of Bradley Central High School as a teacher. Sandra Snyder was over award-winning HOSA and has been a part of the nursing home for 23 years. Her husband passed away. She's moving to Memphis. I talked with her yesterday. So if you know Sandra Snyder, you might want to give her a ring. You might want to tell her how much we appreciate the people that serve on that board receive nothing but a dinner, have a chance to eat the same meal that the residents eat. And she served 23 years with about 6 different directors, and served as a director, she said, for 5 weeks till they selected another one. So I bid her farewell, and if you know her, if she was one of your teachers, I hope you tell her goodbye. Going to go live. Her son lives in Memphis. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Winters. Could I entertain a motion for approval of agenda?
So moved.
I have one by Commissioner Thompson, second by Commissioner Goins. Any discussion? Call the roll, please, madam.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, madam. And to the agenda, item A, Commissioner Peak.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Resolution authorizing Bradley County Mayor to enter into an annexation interlocal agreement between the City of Cleveland and Bradley County regarding the non-contiguous annexation of the property currently owned by CT Properties, tax map 040 parcel 078. I place that in form of a motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second by Commissioner Slater. Any discussion? Yes, Commissioner Thompson.
Again, I can't vote for this because of the annexation. And that's the only reason I can't vote for it.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Sure, she'll
I'll recognize you.
come up, sir.
I'll recognize you.
Yeah. Okay.
Not looking ahead, we're looking behind. We're fixing to cluster a bunch of homes out here in one area. If you don't believe it, you all need to drive out there and see what's out just in this one area. And I'm not real happy about it, because we're going to overflow. We're going to have to build another school. We're going to have to get those kids to school. And when I went home this afternoon, there was 3 cars following me in on my road, and I never even meet a car on that road. 3 followed me in, and then 5 come up to the stop sign to take a left. Hey, listen, traffic is going to be terrible. I'm going to try to organize this in a way that I don't take much of your time. But anyway, annexation is good. Growth is good. But annexation, when you can come in and just annex something else, I understand y'all didn't even get to see the complete everything that was to be annexed from your last from the packet you got from the city.
Yes.
Was it all
Yes,
together?
we did. Yes.
It's all legal. Lawyer here. Okay. Approved. You approve it. I mean, you approve that it is a legal document. No. Maybe we don't. Okay. But anyway, what I'd like to do is tell you, look here, at Free Will Road and 22nd Street, there's 30 new houses. At New Marytown Road, this is all within about a mile radius now. There's 60 new houses on New Marytown probably. 22nd Street, there's 120 houses fixing to go in there. Hensley's Road on the left side, if you're coming toward town, there's going to be a development there, but I don't know how many acres, about 20-something. I remember who owned it. But anyway, at one time I heard there was over 160 houses or units to be developed there. And then the Hensley and New Marytown Road that you all are talking about, that road has got a stream running through it, which you all spoke about. And it also dead ends, Hensley Road dead ends. And then there's another piece of property that, are you tying that in with it too? Is that property being tied in with that? That's the other piece. I don't have a map. I wish I had one. I didn't acquire a map today. And I'm not savvy with this. But anyway, those are the things I want you to think about. Plus, there's other areas available. Why don't we develop somewhere where there's not already a cluster of housing? I mean, why does everybody want to live in the same place? Is that going to happen? All right, I'm going to make this short because traffic at present time There's too much traffic in the area. There's 3 outlets for this influx of traffic, and I mean, it's gonna be bad one day. The roads are being torn up, the shoulders are tore off coming in, the shoulders are tore down going out. You can't meet, 2 cars can hardly meet unless you really start slowing down. But these new residences think this is a painted road, and their speed limit's 55 miles an hour, and that is not safe. Does not need to be happening. We have other places that can be developed, and you don't have to mess up a community. But I feel like you guys can vote your conscience on this, but remember, it is your conscience. Because things will happen out there. Crime rate will increase, traffic will increase. It's all gonna be here. Now let me just pose another question or two. Do we have a good planning? Do we have a county planner?
We do.
We do. What's his name? I remember, I've met him.
Bentley Thomas.
Yes, okay. I think that these guys need to do a little more planning or something before this stuff is brought up here. I'm not opposed to people doing away with their property or anything like that, and I'm not opposed to growth. I just want it to be planned out a little better, and I don't think we're getting that in this county. Please look at that and do some planning. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Peak.
I just have a few things. Everyone always says they're not opposed to growth until it's in their backyard. And then they're opposed to growth. They don't want anybody else to have a place to live just where they live. Also, there are several things here that we have to look at. It's already in the growth plan that we voted to approve years ago. It's in the growth plan. And the second thing is, this is a private property right issue as well. They requested the annexation. We did not and are not, or the city is not requesting to annex them. They requested the annexation from the city. This is also in the growth plan that we voted on years ago. And Howard said it best at the last rezoning in the county when the Taylor property wanted to go put a development on. He told that community that if they didn't like it, to buy it or to move. So you can't have it both ways. You're either for private property all the way or you're not. But it is in the growth plan that we already did approve. As far as building new schools, that'll be a city issue because the county does not have to take those school children, as I have emphasized before. The county makes their own problem if they take the students in those developments. And there's never going to be a perfect location for a new development, ever, that I know of. You can't find the perfect location. And as far as crime and speeding, we have that everywhere. And just because you build a couple more houses does not mean that's going to be increased as well. I call for the vote.
Mr. Thompson's asked to speak.
Okay,
Let me
go
do
ahead.
that. Thank you. Commissioner Thompson.
Just to let you know, they wasn't no annexation on Base Pike. That didn't have no annexation in it at all.
No, it.
That's right, it wasn't no annexation, no.
Okay. Commissioner Peak is called for the vote. We have a first and a second. Would you call the roll, madam?
Yes.
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 No.
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 Yes.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, madam. It passes. Item B, Commissioner Peak.
Resolution authorizing Bradley County Planning and Inspections Department to cause to be published in the Cleveland Daily Banner, Bradley County's intent to adopt building codes by reference, pages 25 through 27. I place that in form of a motion. This is just to advertise.
Okay. I have a motion by Commissioner Peak. Do I have a second? Second by Commissioner Goins. Any discussion? I'm sure there'll be some at some point. Call the roll, please, madam.
Yes.
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 Thank you, madam. Item 3, Commissioner Slater.
This is a motion to confirm the Legal and Legislative Committee recommendation to amend the Bradley County Public Water Fund policy and the Bradley County Public Water Funding Plan application. And that can be found on page 28 and 29. I place this in the form of a motion.
Okay, I have a motion, got a second by Commissioner Winters. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Yes.
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 Thank you, madam. Item B, Commissioner Hughes.
It's a resolution to rezone from forestry agricultural residential district FAR to an R4 residential mobile home park and travel trailer park district. Properties located at 507 Upper River Road Northeast, identified by tax map 022 parcel 009.00. These can be seen on pages 30 and 31. I put that in form of question.
Okay, do I have a second? Okay, at this point, we'll enter into a public hearing. Anybody who wants to speak for or against this, please come up to the microphone. Yes, sir. Come on up. State your name, sir, even though I know it.
My name's Daniel Marlowe. I live at 1930 Upper River Road. So I don't have anything prepared. I don't have a PowerPoint presentation. Few comments. I think some of this discussion in the community about my petition that I started, which each of you have a copy of, has been skewed. I'm not opposed to private property owners' rights, okay? You have a petition there with 82 signatures on it from Bradley County voters and over 200 signatures on it from potential Bradley County voters. We can't discount somebody just because they don't live here, because they might live here someday. It's the bottom line. We're talking about growth a lot in this meeting up until now. Those 200 people who are interested in our town are that potential growth. They're your potential home buyers. They're the potential resort lot buyers, okay? So there's been several media reports covering this. One of them quoted the developer saying, there will not be one trailer on the property. I think that's amazing. I said at the very first meeting I spoke to you that if we got a resort and it was a resort, so be it. And then I was told tonight that I'm the only one calling it a trailer park. Well, that says residential mobile home park. It's pretty dang clear, okay? All I'm asking is that you approve exactly what he says he wants, which is a resort property. To my knowledge, we've never had somebody ask for this. I think this should go back to planning, create something that fits with what he says his plan is, instead of checking the box and saying, well, we'll just call it a mobile home park, but it's not really a mobile home park. That's what I'm asking for. Don't deny a private property owner's request to develop their property. Let's just lay the foundation correctly. Let's do it right. Let's get all the language in there properly. Let's go research these similar places in Townsend and other places and that it's modeled after, and make sure that we've done everything we can to ensure 15 years from now somebody doesn't buy it and say, hey, it's a rundown resort. Now we can throw a bunch of trailers on it because it was zoned as a mobile home park. That's all I'm asking. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barlow. Commissioner Peak.
So just to clarify the zoning, the R4 is a new zoning that the Planning Commission did create. They actually took that out of another zoning, so it would not be confused with duplexes or triplexes or apartments or high-density townhomes. So they also submit a plat, and on the plat, whatever he submitted is what he has to go by. So in his plat, I'm not sure if he's even submitted one yet or not, but they will address that. But if we go if we go back to Planning Commission and start making more zonings, we're gonna have a detail for every little thing. You're gonna have to take triplexes, quads, and everything else out individually. So I'm not for that at all, but, R4 residential mobile home park and travel trailer park, it is what it is, I guess. R4 could be a trailer park if he wanted to, I guess, at this point, unless he submitted a plat. But he has also stated that he would not do that. But really, all we can do is, excuse me, thank you. The only thing we can do, what we legally can do, is vote on the rezoning request as is right now. And he has met all the criteria for that rezoning request.
Anyone else want to speak for or against it? Mr. Marlowe, if I could allow. Oh, sure.
Hit the nail on the head. All you can do is vote no. A vote of no sends it back to planning. We can come up with a correct type of zoning for a resort. That has nothing in no language about resort in it. He's asked to build a resort. I'd love to see some language in the resort language in the zoning. It's just that simple. Everybody says, well, you're not getting a trailer park, but then I see the resolution that says residential mobile home park. He can tell us that he's not going to do it all day long, but he could sell the land tomorrow. He could sell the land in 10 years. And it could be changed right back very easily into a trailer park with an application for a different plat. Now, I understand that there's nothing in writing that says the Planning Commission will deny a developer's plat because the County Commission supports private property owner rights, and they should. I'm all about it. But let's just get this right on the front end. This is brand new. There's nowhere that you can show me what an R4 property looks like in Bradley County because it's never been done before. But he's also not asking for a trailer park. He's asking for a resort. Let's give him what he wants in the proper zoning.
Just to rebut, I did not say vote no. I am actually for this rezoning based on the criteria been put before us and the criteria that this gentleman has passed in the planning.
Thank you, Commissioner Peak. Anyone else want to speak? Commissioner Thompson?
I just ask you, are you gonna put a trailer park in it?
Mr. Thomas?
Absolutely no mobile homes will be placed on this property. There's never been a plan for mobile homes to be placed on this property. It has always been proposed and designed as a luxury RV resort, period. And it's kind of ironic that the gentleman that's standing here, that's all down on trailer parks, lives in a trailer himself. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Mr. Thompson?
One other thing, why does that have to be in this resolution, residential mobile home park? Why does that have to even be in it?
That's what the,
Are there a zoning that would keep it out? That doesn't make sense, does it? If they take that, if they would take that mobile home thing out of there, I'd vote for it.
thank you, Mr. Thompson. Commissioner Davis?
This is a new zoning, and so that's why it's listed the way that it is because that's the only thing that this particular development will fit into. But we hear Mr. Marlowe's worry about him being able to change over and to put trailer parks on this property. So can we just go over, for everybody's benefit, if this was approved, what is the next step, and how can we prevent their worst fears from happening based on what the developer has to submit to the Planning Commission?
Well,
Commissioner Hughes, would you address that with the Planning
yes,
Commission?
he will have to send a plaque in to the planning commission for approval for whichever. It could be for a mobile home park, quite honestly. However, he has to meet the requirements within it. The issue comes in is that it's a trailer park and people don't want to put that much money into making roads through it. For one, it has to be a road that meets the county standard. It would be highly expensive for one. With what he is proposing, they can do basically graveled roads. That's one savings. I believe you have to put it on a concrete pad also. I don't think he's going to pour concrete pads just to turn around and change it into it, which would, again, a new plaque would have to be sent in. I asked him for approval and meet all the requirements for a mobile home park. It's just another expense on top of one of the others.
So from what I'm understanding, if he were to change to a mobile home park, he would have to resubmit a plat,
That is
and it would
correct.
have to be reapproved by the planning commission.
That is correct.
And then if it had to be reapproved by the planning commission, it would have to come back to the county commission to get reapproved. No? Okay.
No. Once the plaques,
So just the planning commission would have to approve a new plat if he changed his mind.
Adam, you want to go up there? And while he's coming up there, let me just say this. He's a member of the planning commission too. In '99, we put some strict regulations in place. And I think if you'll check, there's probably not been a mobile home park built in Bradley County since then. There's some very strict regulations of what they have to do before they can put a mobile home park in. Adam can explain what those regulations are. This gentleman isn't going to do those things because he's not putting in a mobile home park. But what Commissioner Davis was referring to, if someone later on bought it and wanted to put in a mobile home park, then they've got those very strict regulations they have to go by that has to be approved by the Planning Commission at that time. That's why you haven't seen a mobile home park in 20 years or 23 years, because they're strict. As Commissioner Hughes was saying, it makes it very expensive to put these mobile home parks in. We couldn't disallow them totally, but we did make it very strict with a lot of regulations in place. No one's familiar with those regulations because no one's tried to do it since then. But Adam, if you could explain something about what those regulations are like.
I won't get too detailed because there's 22 pages in the document of restrictions. And as the mayor said, there hasn't been one built and passed since 1999 because the restrictions are pretty heavy for a developer. The R4, as has already been mentioned, is new. But the wording is there for what the gentleman wants to do, mobile home park and travel trailer park. This is a luxury travel trailer park, am I correct? Okay, so the wording is there. All right. The process, as Commissioner Hughes mentioned, and this gentleman has not yet, but we'll have to at some point present what's called a preliminary plat to the Planning Commission. That will outline and show us exactly, to this point, none of us in the room, except for maybe the gentleman that's requesting the rezoning, has an idea of what's going to go on that property. So until that's put before the Planning Commission, no one will know for sure. That preliminary plat is then approved or denied, and if it's approved, then a final plat's brought to the Planning Commission. As has already been mentioned, though, if he were to say, I'm going to scrap this, he would not just simply be able to take the plat that was approved and put mobile home or trailers on it. He would have to then go back to this document, which again is much more restrictive. It's also worth noting that R4 also allows usage for everything in R1 and in R2, okay, which means single-family homes. So the flip side of the argument is this gentleman could also come back and say, I'm going to put in a small subdevelopment. Now, he's not going to do that because he said he's not. But it's important to understand what the zoning resolution truly says. And the zoning resolution for R4, the R4 district includes these two things as well as everything associated for use in R1 and R2, which is primarily single-family homes and dwellings.
Mr.
This
Davis.
document is on the county website under the planning department's page for anyone that would like to look at it as well.
Commissioner Davis.
So just one more time, if he were to change his mind and want to do a trailer park, and he came to the planning commission and submitted the plat, would the community be notified that that was happening, and how?
No, the community is not notified when plats are turned in. They're only notified that a rezoning or an annexation has been requested. That's one of the reasons why this was delayed, because the sign wasn't seen, and so the sign was put back up. But no, there would be no notification of the public. It would be obviously a part of a public meeting and on the agenda that's published in advance of that public meeting, but there's no notification to the public.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Winters and then Commissioner Pete.
You can be seated. I'm fine. I talked with Bentley Thomas today, and he shared exactly what the mayor's presented here, that this has not been done for 20 years because it's become so stringent to get to the level that it is now. I get it. I understand. We understand what you're concerned about. We're concerned about that too, but this is the process that we have to go through to do this. I don't know how it's, if it, and you've always said, sir, that you will not do this. So we're taking your word for this. The gentleman there will be really concerned if that does, and his people that are here will be really concerned if you don't do that. And I know you've got a plan to do that. But if I do think there needs to be some type of notification that if you do have a problem, and the reality is that we're in a tough world to do some of the things you're trying to do, that it can't be done, you go back to that committee, then we really need to make sure that that community know that's going to happen. That could be neighbor to neighbor as far as I'm concerned, you know, but there needs to be some of that, Mr. Chairman. I don't care.
I
Sure.
don't have a problem at all, and I don't know if this is something that can be done. If you approve this for a resort only, I mean, put that contingency in there. I have no problem with that at all.
But, Mr. Chairman, can we do this?
I'm going to refer to our attorney there.
Right, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Winters.
Could we had a meeting similar to this on another area where the gentleman came in and stood here and finally looked at people that were concerned about he's going to do in Taylor's and said, I will not do what you're concerned about. That will not be. And he was putting that in his property payment when it came down to that. That was done as a great gesture. If there could be some way for this to be an informal way that he could do that, it would be to your office or to the community there. That would be probably beyond our purview. I get that. But this, I'm sorry, you want to say something?
Well, I just was going to say, I have offered on numerous occasions to talk with anyone who has a concern over what I'm proposing. No one has come forward to talk with me.
Well, they've talked this way. You know what I mean? And this is our world. That's where our world we live in this. But
Totally understand.
when it comes to the point that you have a difficulty doing this, then I think we are dependent upon you to let a group know, the planning commission, that the supply chain is messed up. You can't get that done. We get into that. Then there's a real deal. You got to figure out what you do. We don't want you to have a plan B. We asked about last meeting about a plan B. You said you don't have one. But if you ever have one, then that needs to be presented somewhere publicly that you have, that this has hit you. We'll have a new chairman at that point. We'll have new people in here. But that could be, you'll say, good old boy dialogue here that could be done there and then move that forward. That's all I got.
Commissioner Thompson and then Commissioner Hughes.
Okay, if this R4 was just approved for a new zoning, why couldn't it be a new zoning just for a travel trailer park? Huh?
Because that's included within.
No, we're not talking about, a travel trailer park is different than a mobile home park.
Just make it R5.
Make it R5.
You could.
Why didn't they do that? But can we take it back and get that done? take it back to, I mean, if you make an R4 for something, why can't you make an R something for this, for a travel trailer park? Can we make a substitute motion?
No.
Mm,
I got it.
I want to make a substitute motion that we send it back. But if it fails, it can go back and that rezoning can be changed.
He has to have something new.
Something new.
Commissioner Hughes, Commissioner Davis, Commissioner Peak, and then I'll get to you, Mr. Marlowe.
Yeah. Billy, I have a quick question for you, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this. I believe that you would be able to put a deed restriction on your own property, add that to the deed. Would you be willing to add that to the deed, and you can send it in with your plaque for the travel trailer park?
Without question, I would do that.
All right. Done deal.
I would be happy with that, and I believe that would make everyone else happy if they had that attached to the plaque.
I'll have the
To
attorney
show
do
the-
that tomorrow.
Sounds
Okay.
All right.
Mr. Davis?
Well, I was just gonna speak to Commissioner Thompson's question. Number one, thank you for offering to do that. And then number two, I understand your concern. And we hear your concern. But if you're continuing to add R4s, R5s, R6s, you're kind of muddying the water a little bit. And if you are hearing the mayor, there's not been an RV park or trailer park in the past 20 years because they've added all of these restrictions. So, I mean, if this commission decides that they want to continue making new zonings, then, you know, that's what we're going to have to do. But I think we should really think about that. The question was asked last week if we sent this back to the planning commission. And just like Commissioner Peak said, something would have to change if it goes back to planning. He would have to add something new, or the whole plan would have to change. So I think we talked about that last week. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Marlowe?
Okay. Forgot this at the very beginning. Thank you all for what you do, okay? It's easy for us to come in as people who aren't willing to put our names on a ballot and get yelled at, okay? So thank you for what you do. Secondly, Ms. Davis, you've addressed it perfectly. There is no public notice to changes of deeds, changes of zoning, or changes of plats and things like that. If we do vote this down tonight, I'm not saying that's a no forever. Matter of fact, I would even love to see any kind of application fees waived for him, because he shouldn't have to change anything. He should be able to ask for what he's asking for, and we create the correct zoning for it. Okay? So I don't want to see this cost the developer not another penny on a reapplication fee or anything like that. I'll start a GoFundMe to pay it for him if you have to have it. Okay? But at the end of the day, just like Bill Winters said, there needs to be a public notice. The proper way to have the public notice already exists. It's when they want to rezone it. I find it's almost, I can't imagine saying we want to build a resort, so we're going to call it a mobile home park. I can't understand that. And yes, you're right. Creating more zonings is a lot more work, Ms. Davis, but it clears the water and gets real specific. It doesn't make anything muddy. It's already muddy now because I've been told by county commissioners that 1999 mobile home park designation applies to what he wants to do. that he would have to build the same roads. That's what I was told by a sitting county commissioner that's in this room tonight. That's neither here nor there. It's all muddied for everybody. Let's clear it up. Let's get the right zoning designation created. That's all I'm asking for. Don't charge him another penny to apply for that. Let's get it done. And I promise you, if we create a resort travel trailer park designation, I'll stand in here and ask you to vote for it for him. That's it. It's that simple.
Thank you. Commissioner Pick?
I'll go back to private property rights. This gentleman's already wasting money waiting on us to make a decision with all the delays. So, yeah, it's costing him a dime every day we delay his rezoning request. And the gentleman has already said that he would put a deed restriction on his deed, which he doesn't have to do, but he's already saying he's going to do that. So I don't know what else you could ask for. He's already going to restrict it himself. So, I call for the vote.
Got one that wants to have their hand up. Back in the back, sir. Yeah, come on up. Come on up. State your name, please, sir, when you go. Okay.
It sounds to me like snowball is getting started here on R4. I'd hate to see this snowball started on R4 along the river. I mean, you'll have a lot more people coming here, can't pay property taxes. They can maybe pay for an RV plot for property. I think, you see people that are watching fishing on TV. They see it come down Chickamauga River, whatever, and they see all these beautiful houses on there. And it goes over to Hiawassee, and they say, if I want to live in Bradley County because they're on the river's big RV park. I think there's a place for this. I don't think it's there. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir. Come on up, sir. This will be the last one.
Fred Carter. I own the property just downriver. I just asked the commission, and I don't know all the rules that go into the zoning and what's looked at, but whether it's single houses, whether it's mobile homes, whether it's travel trailers, this is river bottom land. It's on the river. It has access to the river unrestricted by TVA through the creek. So my understanding is boat property. So whether we put 10 or 100 single houses or trailers or whatever it is, there's two concerns I have, because it flows downhill, flows downriver to my property. What are the sewer restrictions? There's no sewer out there. If we're going to put in river bottom land 100 trailers or whatever it is, families in there, what protection do we have that the sewer system can handle it? Is that done up front to make sure that the sewer can handle it so that the sewer's not running off and running down in front of my property? And then what about the boat traffic? This is a narrow section of the river. You're getting into way up river here, so it's and if we have 100 or 50 or 10 or whatever it is with access now to put their boats in, the additional boat river traffic. Because if you sit on the river right now and the boats rip up and down, you can see the erosion of the bank as the waves roll in, and that's why TVA controls it up there. And this is uncontrolled because of the creek. So I just ask that we consider, and I'm all for property rights. I don't want you telling me what to do with my property either. But I want it to be done. So I don't want to do anything to devalue my neighbor's property because my sewer runs off in his, and I don't think environmental folks are going to let me do that anyway. But still, I want us to consider that. I want us to consider the river traffic, because is unrestricted by TVA because of the creek access there, the additional river traffic that we'll see. And I don't know if you have any intention of allowing others putting in a pay to launch or anything like that as part of the resort, but those are just some things that I'm concerned about. But I am all for Mr. Thomas doing whatever within his property he needs to do. without devaluing or causing other issues in the county.
Thank you, Ms. Carter. All right, we got a call for the vote. We have a motion by Commissioner Hughes, a second by Commissioner Peak. Madam, would you call the roll?
Yes.
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 No.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
No.
Yes.
Thank you, madam. Motion passes. This time, communication from the audience. Anyone who wants to speak before the commission, if you'll come up to the podium, state your name. State your name and address, sir. You have 5 minutes.
I'm Brandon Skinner. I live at 340 William Way. I'm actually wanting to talk about the current road department situation. I have emailed everybody up here on this panel, plus the mayor. I've had 2 people respond back, which is concerning. As a retired vet, disabled vet, my concerns were written out in the email for the new road superintendent coming in, firing us, lowering our pay with the times now being tough. If he lowers our pay as road department workers, a lot of us don't make what we should. And, firing people just because. And prime example, I'm getting fired for stuff that I put on Facebook. What happened to freedom of speech? If you don't like me for something I put on Facebook, is that really a right to fire me because you don't agree with it? And I have the messages from Tom where he said he's going to fire me. Other people, Tom bashing all the women of the office at the road department, saying they make too much money for what they do. Those women have all kind of certification, all kind of experience on getting stuff approved, work orders, ADA compliant. You got workers that's been there, dedicated 20, 30, 40 years of their life to the community, and they're getting fired. For what? I mean, is there something y'all can do to have oversight on these elected officials that can come in and fire just because? I think that's, employee retention right now would be awesome.
Anyone want to speak to this?
I'll make a comment. He's elected official. We can't tell another elected official what to do, just like I can't tell old Tom Crow here what to do.
You try, though.
In a way, I feel like that's just some sorry answer.
I'm sorry, that is not a sorry answer. That is
I
the state
really think it
statute,
is.
and that's the law, and that's all we
No.
can do.
You can add to policies.
You cannot add to a
can't
policy.
take
I
away
can't
from
tell
policy.
Sandra Knight what to do. She's elected. So we
But if you
cannot
have
tell other,
oversight-
we don't have oversight. The state law does not allow us to have oversight. That would be like me having oversight of the mayor.
State law, you have to have 3 recommendations as a superintendent of a road. That's it. One of the 3.
I'm sorry, the road superintendent is elected.
To qualify for that job, you have to be one
Once
of
they're
3.
elected, they're elected. And I can't tell an elected official what to do, just like we can't tell the mayor. Thank you, sir.
Actually, no. I got one more thing. Why ain't Tom Collins being charged with
So you're
Class
not,
A
you're-
misdemeanor?
you're-
supposed
sir, you're
to.
not able to use
Yeah.
a elected official's name.
Okay, why is the upcoming superintendent not being charged with a Class 8 misdemeanor?
I don't know, that would be a legal matter. And I mean, obviously, everyone has to abide by the fair labor standards and all that.
Because The only reason I'm asking was a couple weeks ago, video was shown of work being done on Banther Road. I got paperwork that commissioner asked to see. I have it right here. I also have pictures, proofs where Tom Collins, or
Thank you.
where the new upcoming road superintendent drove through a road closed work zone. That is a Class A misdemeanor under law 39-17-108, if I'm not mistaken. Us at Bradley County, who spotted this, called this in. Dispatch was called at 4:00 p.m. on 6/7/22. No police officers ever came out. Nobody ever questioned anything. No one followed up. But if it was, someone else.
I understand. Thank you, Mr. Skinner. Mr. Slater, you wanted to say something?
Unfortunately, Tennessee is a right-to-work state, and if I work at McDonald's or Hardee's or the road department or wherever, Whirlpool, they can decide that they no longer need my services at any time. And that is a Tennessee law, unfortunately.
All righty.
Thank you, Mr. Skinner. Anyone else want to speak before the commission? Yes, sir. State your name and address, please, sir.
Yeah. Hi, Mark Cooper, 125 Reserve Drive. Appreciate you giving me a second here. As some of you know, I'm with the group that created the voter guide for Bradley County, Advocates for Bradley County. And we have continually been trying to work toward a little more voter integrity in the county, coming to the meetings, trying to get into the election commission meetings. We just recently found out, we were lucky to find out that they have a meeting every Monday, first Monday of every month, that's open to the public. Just so everybody here knows too, if you want to come to these meetings, there was one this afternoon at 2, which we found out about 8 o'clock this morning. The problem with that is unlike you guys, the commissioners, go to your website, you have a beautiful calendar, has all the meetings listed, what the agendas are, not the agendas, but it's whether it's a voting meeting or a work meeting. There's nothing when it comes to the election commission. And I know we've talked, I've had other members of my group come up here and speak on this subject. It's a problem because these are public meetings just like this meeting. And, I want to give you a little summation of what happened this morning or this afternoon. So we came to the meeting. This is the second meeting I was able to attend. The meetings in the past, like last month, for all we know, there wasn't a meeting, even though there should have been. We get to the election office, and this happened in the May meeting because that was the first meeting I was at. We're treated like evil outsiders. There's no welcome. There's disdain in the faces of the election commission members, as well as the staff of the election office. But we're entitled to be there, so we come in, go in this back room where the meetings are held. They don't offer us a place to sit. We find a chair back in the corner somewhere, pull it out ourselves. So today it was 3 of us, 2 that were at the May meeting, and then an additional person that wasn't at the May meeting. We initially were questioned. Now the head of the election commission knows some of our faces because we've been around. The new member, who she didn't know, before the meeting started, she addressed her and said, "Who are you?" And I'm not exaggerating that was the tone. So the young lady identified herself with her name, and then she didn't know what was going on. So she asked, "Well, who are you? Can I ask who you are?" And of course that was not received well, and dirty looks. I guess my point is, this is not how the public should be treated by a county organization, which I understand the state has some oversight into the election commission. But that being said, there's no welcome by the commission. The commission doesn't even acknowledge us. The commission president wouldn't even make eye contact with any of us. And this has just got to stop. I mean, we need to get some transparency going because we're here just to try to see what's going on. We want to get involved. We're not trying to cause trouble. We just want to see what's happening behind the closed doors. Like this is open to the public and welcoming. We want that to be open doors and welcoming too. And just a side note, today, unlike the May meeting, they had a sheriff's deputy show up and sit in on the meeting. And the same sheriff's deputy stood there until we actually vacated the office. We felt like, what is this about? Two ladies and me. Now, we're not going to do anything. I mean, I'm not a big guy, so I'm not intimidating. I don't know why they bring a sheriff officer in, but anyway, this is a feeling that we're getting, and we want to see if we can help get it stopped. So I guess I'm just reaching out to the public saying, come on out to these meetings and see what goes on, because you need to know that your election commission needs to be a little more welcoming, and you should get involved a little bit, because there's a lot of unanswered questions going on in that office. I can just say that this election coming up this Thursday, there will be an audit meeting. The date has not been set. We're going to have to go digging for it, but it's usually about a week after the election where they're going to audit the results. They did that in May, and now they should do it here again for the August election. So hopefully that date will get posted, and if you guys can help us get it on a website somewhere so we can know ahead of time when these meetings are, that would be wonderful. I don't know if you can help us with that. The only other thing is I can say the phone number over there is 423-728-7115. If you want to participate, call them and volunteer your time. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper. Anyone else want to speak before the commission? Okay. Oh, come on up. Sorry, I didn't see you, Sarah.
My name is Sarah Brune. I live at 405 Horton Road Southeast. One thing that Mark didn't mention is that at the end of the meeting today, one of the participants or observers there asked for a copy of some paperwork, just handouts, basic handouts of the meeting, the minutes. She was refused. And it's pretty outrageous that when you ask for paperwork, just regular handouts, that you have to go and do an open records request. That's what she had to do, an open records request to get the handouts from an election commission meeting. Outrageous. Something needs to be done. Please respond, do something. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Anyone else want to speak before the commission? Okay. Announcements. Next meeting, work session, August 8th at noon at the courthouse. Upcoming events, Election Day this Thursday. If you haven't voted, please vote. Emergency Services Committee, August 5th at 11 a.m. at the Commission Room. Remember, commissioners, Bradley County Schools invites commissioners to the back-to-school invocation tomorrow at 8 a.m. at First Baptist Church. Is there anything else I missed? Mr. Winters, 8 o'clock.
Can I say something?
Sure.
I appreciate Ms. Knight being here at this meeting. Thank you for your
is a lot.
service to Bradley County. We appreciate what you've done. We can't get into your business, as you know better than anybody. We do our best to stay out of the day-to-day of what you all do. I can address the lady and the gentleman who spoke. There's a chairman of that board named Travis Henry. Travis is approachable. He's an attorney in town. I can approach him. You can approach him. But there's you don't think you can approach him? I
Sure, you can answer that.
Sure. Yeah. 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 Sure. Sure. I can. Yeah. 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 He's a busy attorney, I do know that, but he's there and he's approachable. I'm saying that's a contact for you. I'm sorry?
Okay,
Okay, that's it.
thank you. Motion to